women loving chocolates has started a chocolate business.
Yeah, this is a very valid advice also because as moms, we feel we are multi-talented and we
Yeah.
want to do 10 things,
Yeah.
but sometimes when we focus on one type of products, there are better results. We can do larger quantities.
I've traveled almost 17 countries,
Wow.
and in India, the amount of innovation that's happening, it's unreal. It is really unreal.
Namaste. Welcome to another episode of Nashta with Ma'am. Today we have this delicious healthy breakfast from Ma Khana. This is a ready to eat poha, which is a healthy option for all kids and families to eat. And we have our lovely guest Richa. Thank you so much. She is the founder of Darkins Chocolate, and we want to dig in later, but we want to know all about your story. You studied international business and pharmaceutical, and then you also worked for a while. So how did you leap into a food business which is so different?
My love for chocolate, or it was like extreme love for chocolate, kind of drove me into the world of what chocolate is. I used to, try to find the best chocolate, traveling everywhere, trying to see what other countries are like giving, having, having an entire food trip planned around chocolates.
Wow, so you've done a lot of chocolate factory tours.
Yes. And when I was in Taj, that is when I kind of had my first interaction with how chefs look at chocolates when they are presenting to guests. And that was very intriguing as a process because they were looking at who are the people are consuming and what do they consume in their daily lives. And the offering was kind of balanced with it because chocolate is something which is you have it along with other food, or it is an after meal or a pre meal or is a celebration meal. It is never really alone. So that was my first culinary exposure. From there, it translated to me making chocolates, crafting them from home for like corporate gifts. From there, I decided to deep more and more into the product itself, try to understand how is chocolate as an ingredient made.
Okay. So from home, making chocolate making from home to
Yeah.
a full-fledged factory with big equipment. So I've been to your factory. It's really wonderful experience. So how did you take that leap? Like when did you decide that I want to do it big straight away? I don't want to do it from home. I want to do it with the proper processes in place.
So I'll just take a step back from there. When we start a business, we think that we'll be able to do multiple products because from home, when you do, it's like in a smaller quantity as possible. But when you shift out or want to scale up something, it is more relevant if it is broken down into things which you are absolutely driven with and where the processes can be aligned. So I made the classic mistake of starting a bakery and a chocolate together.
Oh wow! So you did a bakery as well.
Yes, and making a like cakes is it's a fresh produce.
Yes.
And chocolates has a shelf
Shelf
life. So the processes were different, the product was different, the target group was different, and the marketing was different. Uh, so it was a very conscious call to stop
Baking.
doing baked products and start do only chocolates because that is where I felt the maximum impact will come in.
Yeah, this is a very valid advice also because as moms, we feel we are multi-talented and we want to do 10 things, but sometimes when we focus on one type of products, there are better results. We can do larger quantities.
Yeah.
So you sourced your equipment, you get up. I want to know more about the factory setup. How did it happen?
So, like, I did get trained in bean to bar chocolate making from around 3 chefs. One is in Bombay, one in Singapore, one in Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
So there were like multiple chefs who have been part of the journey, and at every stage there were different set of mentors.
Yes.
And what I also realized in the journey is that at every stage you do need mentors. You do need that piece of advice, and if you reach out, keep reaching out, you will find that. And of course, in today's date, we do have ChatGPT, we do have better research tools. But in spite of that, a human knowledge, how a human looks at problem statement is somewhere, I think, right now, maybe search engines will not be able to compute it better. Of course, looking at YouTube videos has helped a lot. But fine tuning, that what machines, which machines, what would be the processes, is solely dependent on what product you want to do and what level of production you want to do. So for an example, when I was looking at the YouTube videos, these would be like huge factories, and even for a mid-scale factories like ours, we are able to produce like with around 3 tons of cocoa beans every month, and that is also that also can be scaled up. But if I could, the first piece of advice that my mentor had given, that first try to build your company with the least amount of investments. You have to break it down, that what is the simplest equipment that you can find.
Yes.
And then you should also know what your journey has to be. Today is a small equipment. Tomorrow, what is the next equipment that you require? Then what is the next equipment that you require? And what is the amount of sales that you need to reach to that equipment? It should not be that you buy an equipment and then you're generating the sales.
Yes. So take baby steps.
Yeah.
Start small, but
Yes.
think big.
Yes.
And plan accordingly,
Yes.
which is a great piece of advice. And you talked about finances. So I know you had initially cash flow challenges and you had issues with retail payment.
Yeah.
And a lot of mom entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs also struggle with managing their cash flows and finances. So how did you overcome those struggles, and what advice you will give to budding entrepreneurs?
As women entrepreneurs, as women, I think, put in a lot of effort when we are taking care of our home finances. You would see almost every one of us will write all our expenses
All our
down.
hisab.
All the hisab kitab, very diligently done. When you start a business, what happens is you are suddenly overloaded with a lot of responsibilities, which is you are making the product most of the time. If you're a solopreneur, you're making a product, you're marketing it, you're selling it,
You delivering it.
you're delivering it, and you're also following up for payments. And if you have got any time left, then you also devote it to your family and friends. So it's a lot of overload that a woman has in their life, and it is, we prioritize according to our requirements. So the keyword is prioritize. So if your priority is following up for payments, if your priority is selling, then you find a good accountant. So you'll have to find very intelligent solutions around the business at what stage you are.
Yes. And how much can you delegate?
Yes, and how much you can delegate out of it. You might be able to find, like now, a lot of accountants, a lot of CAs, they do provide this service where they ensure that whatever bills are pending, they'll send you reminders, or you can use, Zoho Books or some accounting software which gives you the report every week or every month on your payment cycles. So, of course, it took us also around 2 to 3 years to organize our payment cycle, and the power of saying no.
Yes.
That is very, very important. So, what happened in a modern trade store, we do exhibit a lot, and thankfully our product has been loved by most of our consumers. So we did have incoming inquiry that we have to place in certain modern trade stores. Now, modern trade stores, the first thing that comes into mind, this is so cool. You know, the sales will be through like this much amount sales is like kind of guaranteed,
Yeah.
even if you're a new brand. But in a modern trade stores, the thing is that we do not realize is that the payment cycles is longer. In a general trade store, the payment cycle is slightly shorter.
Yeah.
The volume is less, but it is shorter, and for us at least, it has helped that whoever is a consumer is repeatedly getting our products, much more larger range of our product in a general trade store over a modern trade store because of shelf space issues. So very early on, we kind of decided that we would focus more on general trade stores because of the payment cycles, and of course, it was a more closer interaction with our consumers. So we have to kind of pick our battles, what we want to at that point of time. Like today, it definitely makes sense for us to be at modern trade stores, but when we were starting out, having a more closer interaction with our consumers was more important.
Yes, and also closer
Yeah.
interaction makes sense because like Darkins is a brand which is providing cleaner chocolates,
Yeah.
no filler chocolates,
Yeah.
and I wanted to know how important was brand integrity for you, like the product integrity for brand building was for you, and how like chocolates is a crowded market, like we
Yeah.
all know. So what advice will you give to entrepreneurs to stand out in a crowded space already?
We have started our business in the most probably cliched spaces. Women loving chocolates have started a chocolate business. Nothing can get more cliched than this. Very early on, rather, I would say it comes from a certain life principles. If I could make it as simple, is that I had a preference for fresher food and have a preference for simpler food but flavorful food. And my biggest peeve with our packaged food has been for a very long time is that if you need a certain amount of ingredients, then just put the required ingredients. Why overload it? And we have to also understand why certain ingredients are overloaded. So that is where my pharmaceutical background kind of
Helped you.
kicks in
Yes.
to the picture. So I look at every ingredient and I look where what is required and why it is required. So even if we are adding, extracts, so I would get to the level that, okay, this extract is coming from where? What would be the ultimate impact of the extract in human body, even if it is a natural extract? So we have to have our principles is very founder driven, I would say, and wherever we feel that yes, this is what we have not been able to get access to. And the second part of it is what my pet peeve was that why isn't good quality chocolate available, more readily available in India? So that is also where the journey started.
So did you struggle initially? Like the chocolates are available from 10 rupees also.
Yes.
Obviously, they're not healthy chocolates and
Yeah.
not with the right ingredient.
Yeah.
But your chocolate is obviously priced much higher because of the ingredients. So did you struggle initially, like making their customers aware why your chocolate is better, why the ingredients are important, how it makes impact in your daily lives?
A lot of education is important in a product like ours, where that is also a reason why we open up our factory, and we have so many pop-ups. We want to be more closer to our consumers primarily because of education. For us, getting our chocolates to be tasted first is very important because we come with a lot of notions. If it's vegan, it will not be, flavorful.
Yes.
If it is healthy,
It will not be
then it will
tasty.
taste probably bad. But since I want healthy, so I should have
Healthy.
something that doesn't taste that great. So we always introduce ourselves as a chocolate brand first, and then we talk about what benefits we are giving in the chocolates itself, because there is a lot of inherent biases
That-
for
especially in
healthy
Indian customers.
yes, for healthy products, which has evolved over time, and more you explore the conscious segment of food that has come up in last couple of years. It is a very interesting thing, and I've traveled almost 17 countries.
Wow.
And in India, the amount of innovation that's happening, it's unreal. It is really unreal what's happening.
Yeah.
What all of us are, innovating on our kitchens, it's unreal. Look at a product like this.
Yes, ready to eat.
Yeah, it
healthy
is.
makha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is so cool.
Yes, I also wanted to ask you that you are listed at various platforms, so even at quick commerce, and you have retail options as well. So how do you maintain the overall customer experience as a similar, because you just don't focus on the product, you also focus on the experience. So how do you make that similar experience for all your customer, whether they're buying from Amazon or a quick commerce platform?
It also again took a lot of feedbacks across platforms, and so feedback is also very core to us, and as and where we get the feedback from, that is when we make the changes. We For us, having that email on our an email suggesting us that this is what went right and this is what we want better, any complaint, any appreciation, we take it in an equal measure. If we are getting appreciation, it really boosts us up, and we know that we are going in the correct direction. And if there's any complaint, we again take it up as this is a challenge which needs to be solved.
Yeah.
And then we make our processes according to it. So if it is in melting issues, so we try to find out if it is the packaging which is causing the melting issue, is it the transporter which is not working, or if we need a local distributor. So all these decision making happens on the basis of the feedbacks that we get,
Okay.
be it positive, be it
And how do you
negative.
collect feedback usually?
We do go out and ask our consumers who do land on our website.
Okay, so you send them an email.
Yes. We
Okay.
give them a call.
Yeah.
We also get feedbacks on our Instagram handle,
Okay.
on our email, on our WhatsApp, on phone call. So for us, all of these incoming inputs are absolutely important. And for outgoing, from us, we keep on asking feedbacks from our consumers on a pop-up, to the retail store. On quick commerce, of course, we keep ordering and we keep seeing. We ask our consumers, okay, you've ordered, so how was your experience? So it's kind of a daily kind of a
Part
thing.
of daily routine.
Yes.
That feedback has to come on
Yeah,
the product.
yeah.
And lastly, I wanted to ask that somebody who wants to start a healthy food or a conscious food business, what are the top three tips you're going to give them?
Healthy food is a very large segment in itself. We as Indians have a very, very expansive palate. So you will have to pick up a thing that where you feel your impact will be the most. Because we have to have another realization that we are part of a universe.
So being selective is
and
your
be
number one.
be selective in your impact can be in your colony, your impact can be in your city, it can be in your state, or it can be national.
Yes.
So you'll have to see what and where your impact can be. For an example, when I go to the farms and I see the local produce over there, I've always tried to understand that they are growing it on their level, and they're also having a barter system amongst themselves on the fruits, on the vegetables, on the spices. So there's a very localized economy that is already existing in our farm level, and it is absolutely okay if you want to build from there. So are you trying to impact your city, the adjoining major cities, or are you trying to impact that state? A lot of food actually gets consumed within.
Local.
Yeah, there's a very within like 500-kilometer radius,
Yes.
it gets consumed.
Yes.
So you have to define your healthy. What is your healthy?
Yes.
And then take it like one step forward as
Yes.
in where you want to be.
So we have a very fun section coming
Yeah.
up. So we want to do a quick rapid fire round with you,
Sure.
and you can't think a lot. You have to
Is
pick
there a
one of the.
hamper also?
Yeah, we should definitely think about the hamper next time around. So, traditional flavors or experimental blends? What do you prefer?
I'm a very cautious person. So if you look at our products, it's an equal kind of a mix.
Yeah.
So traditional, of course, experimental because it's our nature to experiment. Our take on it is that when it is a very traditional flavor, it is easier for you to pick up a product, and if it is experimental, it is also catering to the all the young generation right now.
Yes. Packaging design or flavor innovation?
It actually depends on the kind of product that you have. If it is a product which requires a lot of flavor involvement, like in our product, we need a constant innovation. That is a part of it. But because we are present on retail stores, so for us, packaging is like quite important. So for us, of course, flavor innovation comes first, and then packaging is there.
Festive season launches or year-round favorites?
For us, it is of course festive launches. Yes.
Yes. E-commerce or quick commerce?
For us, again, it is quick commerce over e-commerce.
Yes. Social media marketing or traditional advertising?
Social media marketing because it actually reaches out to a lot more people, and traditional marketing needs a lot of capital. So social media marketing, I would say.
Richard, it was so nice to have you here today for Nashta with Nam. I hope you enjoyed the Nashta and the conversation.
Absolutely, it's always fun to meet you because I have a wonderful morning, and so I just love your look.
Oh, this is actually a Nam brand, Millie, and it's a very comfortable. So it was a rush morning, of course. So this is very comfortable, easy wear for today. And my earrings are actually from VND Design, another Nam brand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So in NAM, you don't really need to like search around. You will
Yeah.
find your solution right there.
Everything is sorted from food to clothing.
To people, to community, to conversations.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Richard. It was so lovely, as always, to talk to you.
Same here.
Let's dig into the Nashta.
I was actually looking at it for so long. I was like, let's have it. Cheers to beautiful mornings.
Cheers to beautiful mornings.